Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming out and would be happy to take any questions that you may have. First of all, you probably recognize that there are a lot of new faces. We had 5 players that graduated last year. Um, 2 of the top 13 players that are in the WNBA. That's a huge loss. That said, then there was another 3. All 3 are playing now overseas. So that's left a tremendous void. We have a lot of new players, and we're trying to mesh that talent with the 4 remaining players, or a total of 8, but only 2 of whom have gotten even a couple of minutes in a starting lineup. That being KK Saunders, as well as Sharita Parker. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of things unknown, and is still unknown, will be unknown, but we're looking forward to a great effort, because it is pleasurable to walk on the floor and look at new faces and to remember the names and get excited, because I am. I think that they work extremely hard. They just don't know, and you can't expect them to know. I think that it's a challenge and a test for us as coaches to be patient and find a way. In other words, meet our team where we are, and we will do just that, keeping in mind that we are in a Big Ten situation, Big Ten schedule. But I can't think of a more pleasurable, more willing group of people to do that with, and so that's a very, very, very positive. As you know, we have the mindset that in order to beat the best, you have to play the best. And I mean, so we're not running away from the competition. We have several weeks where we have 3 games in 1 week. That's rough. But we need to be road warriors. We also need to understand that all of us have to help each other as we go through this. But I'm positive that the basic attitude that the team has taken is one of just getting their heads up, recognizing what it means to be a Scarlet Knight, and that's what it's going to take, because this kind of schedule and this situation does have to. It requires a Scarlet Knight heart and a Scarlet Knight mindset, and if you have those 2 things, then we'll be fine. So I would urge anyone to recognize there are differences, and there's a lot of people that we've got to put together for a big time situation in a relatively short period of time. But I am fully confident that in time we will basically get that done.
RyanWNJ.com. Vivian, does it remind you at all of 2001-2, my freshman year? Cappy, when Cappy couldn't play, and that team, and with just kind of with Tyler and all the new faces, does it remind you of that? And obviously that season didn't go particularly well. What did you learn from that maybe this one can be better?
It's kind of interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah, I remember losing a couple of games, and in fact, Cappy was sitting. Cappy couldn't play that year, and this is a perfect example of learning how to win. Cappy, after we had lost the game, and she was sitting behind the bench, and as she walked off the floor, she started crying. Keep in mind that she didn't have a uniform on, so she wasn't even playing. But that's what I talked about when I said you have to know what it means to be a Scarlet Knight. I'm a Scarlet Knight through and through. Do we all know what that means? Like I said, we've got 8 new faces, okay? These are either transfers or junior college players. Who are trying to learn the Scarlet Knight way. And I remember one of the players that were on the floor, and some of my fans can identify with what I'm saying based upon the conversation I just had. When the team that was playing, when we were walking off the floor, they said, "Gee, what is she crying for?" That's what they said. They didn't understand. It was just like, I've spoken about this in my book. When I was a cheerleader, I really wanted to be out there on the field, making a difference in terms of winning and losing. And when I would come home, my mom would say, well, my mom and dad would be sitting at the kitchen table. So, who won the game? And I'd say, we lost. And then I would start to cry because it hurt me so bad. And my mom would say, what's her problem? She was just cheering. She didn't play. And I remember my dad saying, it's her passion, Thelma, it's her passion. And I'll never forget that. So I'm going to say to you that to be a Scarlet Knight, there's a certain way that you're a Scarlet Knight. And it's not understood that you just know that. I don't care what anybody thinks or what anybody knows. To come back to your statement, yes, it does remind me a lot like that. But also, we had a rough time. But what ended up happening is we had a whole lot of people that joined the bandwagon because we had the biggest turnaround in the history of the NCAAs. So I warn everybody, don't get worked up about what's going on because I'm not happy with anything other than great success. Trust me. So everybody can go on somewhere else. That's not me. Having said that, we understand that in order to win, you have to know how to win in your mind first. There has to be a way. I'm convinced, I have full confidence that there's a way to win these games, no matter where, whether we play at 1, 2, or 3, 4 universities. There's certain elements that are necessary. And it's not that our team isn't trying, because they are. And I am happy with us. We've got a ways to go. I'm just being real honest, okay? But I have every expectation and fully expect that they expect, as well as we as coaches, that when we get into the meat of this Big Ten schedule and we get through this, that we'll be there at the finish line smiling. And those that hang in there and understand the process. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And that goes right into why we play the kind of competition that we do. I don't have a problem with the wins and losses. I could have had a whole lot more wins, trust me. But I've never tried to play easy schools. I have always tried to prepare our team to be the best when it counts most, and that is toward the end and being ready for postseason competition. So we've got some work to do, but here's how I'm taking it personally. When I went to the University of Iowa, they had only won 5 games prior to my coming, okay? And and I remember them telling me that there were 120 people in the stands. Most people came there to read the newspapers. And it was clear that we had a lot of things to work on. But rather than to focus in my situation on the score, so if you ask me what can I bring to this, then I'm going to tell you what it is. And then maybe you can ask me after games, did we get better? Because I know that statistically there are certain parts of that game that must be won. And we would begin to win quarters. You know what I mean? The first 8 minutes, the 8, 6. So we would get to the point where we would chunk it off. And how do we win those? For example, how many turnovers to assists did we have? What was our shooting percentage? How many rebounds? So I'm telling you from the technical side, because at the end of the day, you can talk about all the talent in the world. If you don't take care of those areas that you all understand, then you don't win games. So we've got to help our team to understand, let's win the game each, a quarter. If we can get a quarter, 10 minutes, that would be great. If we can get another 10 minutes, and then next thing you know, we're there. So that's the best way to do that. Instead of trying to eat the whole elephant, it's better for us to take off bites, and then you can put your money on us being there at the end, because at the end of the day, that's what you're talking about. Now, what happened when I was at Iowa, they having not ever been invited, we were invited to the WNIT. And so the girls were really happy. Oh, Coach, gee, we never got a chance to have postseason. It's my senior year. This is the greatest thing that could ever happen. But I didn't let them play, because my attitude is I want us to understand that we won't take crumbs, and it's royalty. That is, we have to understand we will earn our right to the NCAAs, and it's always been that way. So with that said, we're going to, win the quarters, and then hopefully we continue to progress, because what we're looking at is every day we're getting better in practice. We really are. Sometimes I'm hard on them, and they might not know that I think, that's better than it was before. So that's okay. But our big thing is to mix everybody together, make sure that we're winning the statistical game and the pride game and the attitude game, and then we'll be there. So I'm there.
J.P. Pelsman, Gannett, New Jersey. Vivian, my question is, even though Tyler obviously won't be on the court during games, the fact that she's with you folks, what does that mean, the leadership that she still is able to provide even though she can't play this year?
Yeah, you noticed that when you even said her name, I started to smile. Yeah, it means everything in the world. I'm so excited to have her there. She's been intense, been fully involved in practice the whole time. Tyler's paying attention to everything. And in fact, I smile sometimes. One of our former players, actually the person, my assistant that recruited Tyler, was here last week, and we were talking. Chelsea and I were talking in the presence of Tyler, and I said, this girl has just matured so much. And we both started smiling, and Chelsea and Tyler was saying, yeah, I have. Well, what are we talking about? It's not about just playing the game. It's about all the things. When we were running scrimmages, how do we come off the floor? How do we, understand how to get up? When did we recognize that we were going down? Everything, behavior, everything. And I thought, yeah, this is what it takes. Or when we come down on the floor, she's the one that's standing at half court, making sure everybody is making the exact cuts. No, do you know the option about this? Freeze this. The little things, because you can tell. You can tell a Scarlet Knight player. Trust me, you can tell a Scarlet Knight player because they understand the exactness of that, and I'm really proud of her. And I think that when she can come back next year, she's just going to be that much better. And I'm counting on her to be somewhere because I can ask her the question, and she'll be able to relate because she's a Scarlet Knight, true and true.
Go ahead.
Lynn, WRSU Rutgers Radio.
Okay.
Obviously, not having Tyler, you lose her scoring. Have you put the onus on any specific players, or is it going to be more of like a team effort to replace what she brought?
Thank you for that question. I wish I could, but the truth of the matter is that there's no one that's going to take her spot in that respect. They will all, as KK said, we'll all chip in and do our part. That's good and bad, because, for example, in the positions of the 2 and 3, they're primarily scoring positions, and that's what Tyler was. That's what Kylia Copper was, okay? So, but you have to have that mentality. You have to want to do that, and you have to be able to do that with a level of consistency, See, because if we put a uniform on you, you'd want to go out there and start shooting too, So everybody wants to shoot, but how consistent are you in doing what you need to do? And that's what we have to get, that level of consistency. So no, there's not one person, because no one has had the experience to have been out there. Like I said, Sharita has only started 14 games, and it hasn't been a lot of minutes, but that's okay. I'm not trying to hide that. I'm telling you the truth. Let's just be real. I hope you understand. I am telling you the truth. I mean, seriously, I am telling you the truth. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm telling you the truth. Okay, but I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you what we're working with. I'm telling you that I'm going to be proud at the end. Kia Vaughn, as an example, when she was here for our Midnight Madness, had an opportunity to say a few words because I was able to say to our team, we have to learn everything. There wasn't one time ever in the 4 years that I ever had to say, Kia, you took a play off, because she's never gonna. She comes in bubbly. She's gonna fire up. She's gonna do everything. She's never. But I need to present nothing but positive images. The same thing, Essence Carson, right after she had won the WNBA championship. Do you think that she or anybody else expects us to be anything less than a national power? So I would apologize to any player that I've ever had if we can't be at that level, because that's where we expect to be. But they also know that it is a process. And so with that said, Essence said, Coach, don't worry, I'll be back in, me and Kalia Copper, we'll be back for Christmas. So we'll have a chance to talk to the players. We'll have a chance to work, work with them and the whole thing. So it is a tradition. It's the great players that know what it is to have sacrificed, much like when we ended up playing for, in the national championship that you're talking about. It wasn't that simple. We were having the worst record of our lives. But it was in December that, Tammy Sutton Brown came from Russia, and Davlin Cunningham and Michelle Campbell, they came from everywhere. And they were supposed to go to New York to celebrate, New Year's Eve. But they sat on that bleacher when they could see what we were dealing with in practice, went back into the locker room, changed their clothes, and worked. They worked so hard, they sweated, and then they took each of the players 2 by 2 into the corner. Did Coach tell you about this? Did Coach tell you about that? Epiphany Prince was like, yeah, that's what she said. And so they were explaining, this is why you need to do that. So I have no question in my mind that they're going to learn, that the things that we're teaching are the things that are going to be necessary. And that's why our pros can tell them the advantages that they have. But we got to learn new things, and the young people that we have now, they got to get better, and we will have to get better. As simple as that.
Pat Hobbs told us that you guys are working on a new 4-year contract for you. What does that? I guess where are you guys in that, and what does that mean to you that he is showing that much faith in you?
Well, first of all, I'm excited about Pat. We lost serious players. Let me just tell you this, because of that contract. That's a fact. And so I am grateful to Pat that he has stated that. When that happened, it came all over Twitter. My assistant said, thank God, now we can recruit players. So what does that mean? It meant the world. All I want to do is recruit and be able to coach. And at the end of the day, coaches are not as great as they sometimes think. And I promise you, I'm not full of myself. I don't believe that. I have been very fortunate, to have the great players that I have. This is a great institution, a great institution. I'm fully confident that we know what we're doing, but it helps, guys. It really does help. And so I have nothing but praise. I'm grateful that Pat stepped up, said what he said, made the commitment that he has. And so he's been busy trying to raise funds for a new facility that is going to make a heck of a difference. I mean, you go into the Yum Center, you go into Maryland, call it. You go into to Iowa, you go into everywhere. I'm just telling you the truth, people. You know that I am. So he has done that. He and Sarah are working their tails off. I mean, I don't know when they rest, but they're bringing our school to that level. We already know that we're there academically. And just a basic thing that he did. It was amazing. I don't know how many people know. They had almost 1,000 students, in the dormitory, and students lined up outside waiting for some pizza, but more importantly, to have a town hall. That's never been done. Never. So he's understood the importance of the athletes and the students becoming one. But because when that happens, then you don't become the ordinary fan that, okay, you're not doing so well. Like our football team. Don't worry about Chris. Chris is going to be fine with the football team. Don't worry about Steve. He's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Don't worry about wrestling. All we need from everybody is to have faith, and trust. Because these athletes are giving everything they can. The coaches are fully competent, and we're doing our best.
You mentioned the facility. How much have you used that in recruiting? There's going to be a groundbreaking next 2 weeks. How much have you used that in recruiting in terms of, hey, we're going to have this? What kind of difference will that make for you?
Huge, because whether we realize it or not, and I think that as we get older, we can sometimes think and believe, and rightfully so from my perspective, that it's about the substance, that a person has. It shouldn't be the facilities and all that. But we're dealing with whatever is it? Is that the millennials? Good. It's all about what do you have? What does it look like? The giant scoreboards and all that. The beautiful life. It doesn't matter whether we believe it or, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter, guys, because we've all worked hard for what we've gotten. And not that these young people haven't, because they're working hard, because all during the summer, their parents are paying a lot of money. They're going to these camps. They got their own personal trainers. This is a new age. And having said that, then they do expect to see those beautiful things. So I'm so happy. And we have announced it. I've tried it. I don't draw very well, but I even had a hand drawing, and I gave it to them. I know we can't. I said, hey, this is what we're gonna have. So, and I said, but I couldn't. They didn't want me to take the top secret, plans out to you guys, and they were like, they received us in a room. They were like, are you? I said, yes. I said, so I'm doing the best I can with what I saw. And so now that it's become public, it'll be here, and it'll be nice. Everybody will be proud. Everybody and everyone will be able to take advantage of that facility.
Any other questions for Coach? Okay, thank you, Coach.
Keep the faith, guys. It'll be okay. Thank you. Thank you.